Things backwards, man. Everything's backwards. The bridge is running backwards. Push the button, Hunley.
All right, we are here. I didn't even think I was going to make it here. I live in Hampton, and there's this thing called the Hampton Roads Bridge Tunnel. And it turns out that when the tunnel's backed up, I can't get back to my house.
What?
So it's been quite a hectic thing, but I'm here.
Wow.
I'm happy to celebrate. I understand that this is somewhat of an anniversary for you.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. For what?
For your career.
Oh, my career. My career started. Whatever I got going here. You call that a career? It's a hodgepodge of fabrics sewn together into a quilt.
Okay, how about an anniversary of a gig that you had in 2002?
Oh, see, that's a different story. Yeah, that is weird. You want me to talk about it, or?
Yeah. I mean, okay, folks, this is Fun Friday, so in the spirit of it, let's start out with a little bit of death.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. The National Enquirer, bioterrorism. Yeah. This was the deadliest bio attack in American history. Look, I don't know if anybody remembers this, but this was after 9/11. Shortly thereafter, Daschle, all these people received anthrax in the mail. Tom Brokaw, Daschle, all kinds of different people, including a photo editor at the National Enquirer named Bob Stevens, a British cat, and he died from anthrax. I think about 7 people died and about 15 were injured from it. But yeah, there he is. There's Bob Stevens. He was the photo editor for AMI, and that was a pretty big job because they had a lot of photos in that building in Delray Beach, or near Boca, actually.
Now, AMI, it was actually more than one publication.
Right. Yeah. It was a lot of publications. There was one called The Star. There was the Weekly World News. There was the National Enquirer, obviously. And it was taken over by, I think in 1999, by a guy named David Pecker, one of the greatest names of all time, as an owner, publisher, David Pecker, shown here, who looks like some cross between Geraldo Rivera and Donald Trump. The David Pecker guy, for reasons that I could not understand, that's back with Trump. Yeah, that comes into the story later. Recently, actually, a couple of years ago. But getting back to the anthrax part, Bob was killed, and there was a building there. Anyway, I'll get to that. But Pecker, or somebody for Pecker, called me up and said, "Do you want to be the editor of the Weekly World News?" And I said, "What's the Weekly World News? The thing with Bat Boy?" And the guy said, "Yeah." I said, "What do I have to do?" And they said, "Nothing. Just come here." And I said, "All right." It was like 20 years ago today, as the song says, the Beatles, as Sergeant Pepper said. It was literally January of 2002. A few months after the anthrax, after the 9/11. So I get the call. I go down there, and this guy had spent so much money, Pecker. He gave me my own condo. He gave me a Lincoln town car with a driver. And all of a sudden, I was editor of something called the Weekly World News, because that's what happens to Forrest Gump. I didn't do anything. And now I've got a staff looking at me going, "Okay, what do we do, boss?" And I wasn't really hip to the Weekly World News. I mean, it's not like the National Lampoon. The National Lampoon was very literate. And, we would do Shakespearean, parodies, and we would do all this highbrow stuff. The Weekly World News is kind of like the working class version of National Lampoon, if that makes any sense. I mean,
it's not highbrow.
It's not highbrow, but it's got its own weird language. It's got its own weird style. And I really was not an expert on that language or style. Plus, unbeknownst to me, or I soon learned it was a weekly. I was used to working on a monthly, and working on a weekly is a whole different game. I mean, you got to do stuff so quick, Eric, in a weekly. I don't know if you have a shot. There's one. If you could show a shot of this thing called Big Bust in Tinseltown, where the FBI arrests Hollywood starlets. Yeah. So here's a piece I did.
A very impressive piece with it looks like somebody familiar in the middle there in that picture.
Right. If you could zoom in, I don't know if you could zoom in on that, but
sure.
The reason I'm telling you this part of the story is I had to just go out and shoot this in real time. And that's me as the FBI agent. The reason, not to glorify me, but to show you the difference between a weekly and a monthly. They all looked at me like, let's go shoot it now. And I went, what? So literally moments after writing the piece, I had to go out in the parking lot with a secretary and another writer and shoot that photo. And that was on the cover of that week's issue, Big Bust in Tinseltown. It was a story of how actresses were buying bootleg silicone breasts. And the FBI was called in to seize all of them throughout Hollywood.
Two things. Didn't you have a habit of being the go-to guy anyway when they're like, hey, Groubert, we need to take some pictures of somebody in a t-shirt?
Yeah, I did
hey,
it anyway.
Groubert.
Yeah, no, but I was used to it at Lampoon. But what I'm saying is I wasn't used to publishing weekly. And that's a whole different rhythm of rhythm and timing and writing and staff and everything else. Plus, I didn't know any of these people. They were all there for years, and they were Floridians who were not I don't put it this way. They were not from LA and they were not from New York. They were like different kinds of people who lived in weird places and came from weird places. And, we're all separately there a long time, and we're kind of burnt out to sum it up.
Okay. I have to ask, was this an actual story or was this a parody story? This particular
right one? See, that's kind of where it became a problem for me, because their style was to actually go through newspapers around the country and to take real stories and merely punch up the headlines, a pull quote, and the title, but based it on a real story. Now, I made this up out of whole cloth, so they weren't happy about it. Right. So, okay. So it took me a while to get used to their style, which I was never happy with anyway. It's just not my type of humor. But they had a room full of lawyers in a Quonset hut where you had to go with your piece. Pecker had a zero tolerance for lawsuits. If you had a lawsuit on something you did, you were out. You were fired immediately. So it was on you to take whatever the hell you wrote, go to these lawyers. It was a room full of 50 lawyers, actually a Quonset hut filled with lawyers at desks. And you had to present your piece, and they all looked at it and they went thumbs up or thumbs down or whatever. So I'll give you an example. There's one there of Natasha Henstridge. I'll just to show you. See that? It was a cover. If you could show them that.
Very not unattractive. By the way.
This was species actress invaded by alien dolphins. Okay. Now, I knew Natasha Henstridge, and she had told me this story about how she was working on, I think, Species or some movie involving a porpoise. And the porpoise was in the tank with her. I don't know if it was Universal's tank or some sort of tank where you shoot in. And the porpoise took her underwater and spun her around at 1,000,000 miles an hour and tried to, I don't know how to say this, have sex with her. Yeah, try to mate her. And they had to jump in the ADs and the PAs and separate her from this super horny porpoise that had its flippers around her and was in the final throes of whatever they do, right? It's another mammal.
So she's a cross species hottie. It's like she's not only thought hot by humans, but also porpoise.
Yeah, that was what and look, I didn't know this. She told me this herself. So I mean, I'm not reading this in the tabloids. I mean, she told me this story. So I thought it would make a good Weekly World News story. So I had to go to the lawyers, and the lawyers put the kibosh on it because it was just too real, too true, too vulnerable, too Hollywood. And no matter what I said that it was true, they didn't want to hear it because it was just too vulnerable. So we never ran this. This was a mock-up of a cover. I don't think
Oh,
yeah.
well, that sucks.
Right. Okay, that's the point. So back at the building with the Anthrax, which had yellow police tape around it, all of the photos for National Enquirer, all the photos for the Weekly World News, photos going back till 1940. Yeah, it's a little fishy, but still true. Uh, don't forget, porpoises are mammals too, Ziggy. They're not fish. So try to keep your species in order because mammals get very aroused very quickly. And many of us are mammals.
Speaking for mammals, Mark
On
will start.
behalf of mammals worldwide. Anyway, so the building's got police tape around it, and you can't get the photos because the Anthrax is still in there. So Pecker goes to Jeb Bush to try to get Jeb Bush to bring in a hazmat team to clean out the Anthrax. And Jeb Bush tells him to go screw himself, which was kind of weird, but it would have cost like $1 million, is what Pecker told me. I don't really know, but he had to bring in a hazmat team to vacuum it out. And it's a whole big process.
So how long was that there with the yellow tape around it? And
for months.
Oh,
no. I'm telling you, I got there in January. It was already, so the event happened in October. And when I left, the yellow tape was still around it. So everybody wanted the photos, and we'd go, "Come on, go in there, get the photos. Come on, what could happen? It's Anthrax."
So whose desk was next to the taped area? I mean, who drew the
It was a separate building. It was a separate.
Okay.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But we would tease each other. Go ahead, go in there, get the photos. It would be great. It's much better than us having to retake all these photos, which is why I showed you that picture, because normally you could have gone into the photo library and taken out a photo of a random FBI agent arresting a random person.
Okay.
Right. That's why I mentioned that storyline. So I had to go out with the photo editor and shoot that and then go back in and keep writing it. So anyway, make a long story short, the police tape is around there. Jeb Bush won't clean out the Anthrax. Pecker says, I'm going to move my entire company out of the state of Florida. Has echoes of Disney and DeSantis at this point, right?
Sure.
And he's got a lot of employees and there's a lot of money there. And he eventually did move. He did call his bluff and he did move to New York, Pecker. He did leave because of this. And the building that he refused to finally clean up was eventually cleaned up. And it was bought by a security firm. And this is where the reason he didn't clean it. He didn't clean it because he wanted this new security firm to clean it. And it was run by a guy named Giuliani, who started the security firm and took the building. And I thought, God, that's really sleazy. You know, I remember at the time going, wow, man, that's some dirty politics, you know? And this over Anthrax. So the guy, just to get back to the Anthrax briefly, because the guy who did it was this psycho, and we'll do a separate show on Bruce Ivins. Eric and I are going to do a separate show about Bruce Ivins because it's a very complicated story. But Ivins, shown here as a complete psychopath, ends up at Fort Detrick in the bio lab working on Anthrax. And of course, when the FBI, run by a guy named Robert Mueller, gets the Anthrax envelopes, they bring it to Bruce Ivins, and he goes, "Thank you very much," the guy who sent it out. So then they go after this other guy, Steve Hatfill, who they made his life a living hell until he finally sued the government and won $5.8 million.
All Richard Jewell. So they had a pattern of doing this.
Just like Richard Jewell, yeah. And the whole point of it was Mueller brought in an investigator from San Diego who was just convinced, like with the Richard Jewell case, that Hatfill was the guy. And Bruce Ivins kept saying, "It's Hatfill." He kept saying, "Check out my partner, Hatfill. He did it." Meanwhile, he's taking photos and he's stalking a girl, which is what I wanted to get to. This girl here, this poor woman who was stalked, I want to say, for 20 years. 20 years. Her name was Nancy Hagewood, another scientist. She had gone, there she is. She's in Washington State now running a research lab up there, animal research. But she went to the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, graduates with Bruce Ivins. And he went to ask her out on a date. She told him no. And she was a member of a sorority called Kappa Kappa Gamma. So Ivins got into this obsession nationally about Kappa Kappa Gamma as a sorority. And he literally goes to University of West Virginia University in Morgantown, West Virginia, Eric. He breaks in and steals their rituals guide. Now, this is really weird. He steals their rituals guide. I don't know why they have a rituals guide, but apparently every sorority, if there's some ladies out there in the sorority, please hit me to this because I don't know about this. He steals their.
Maybe it's a hazing, like
it's their hazing. Yes,
like,
yes,
okay.
It's their hazing guide. Absolutely. Then he takes out ads in Rolling Stone magazine and Mother Jones saying, "I have the rituals guide from West Virginia University from Kappa Kappa Gamma. If anybody wants it, please contact me." I swear to God.
No,
So
people
we're
going to get deep on him, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, we'll get deeper on it. Well,
no,
we'll
he's
get
got
into
a
the other
ton of things. He's a weirdo.
Right. No, but I just wanted to talk about this sorority thing with the women, because he goes after this woman, and she's the one who calls up the FBI and says, "I think Ivins is the Anthrax guy who sent the letter to the National Enquirer." And the FBI says, "Thank you very much. Thank you." And of course, doesn't pursue Ivins until 7 or 8 years later, when they finally go after this nutbag. We'll do a special on him. But getting back to the National Enquirer and AMI, Pecker asked me when I get there to do a white paper on everything I think is wrong with the publication and how to fix it. No, I don't know, because I don't know. I've never really read it. You know what I mean? So now I'm typing away like it's a term paper, Eric. I'm doing a thesis now, a PhD thesis.
How'd the staff handle you? I mean, were they cool with you?
Staff, they were nice, but they were standoffish, because I think they were all entrenched there for 20 years. They were lifers, you know what I mean? And I think they sensed that I was not going to dedicate my life to this. Although, I got to tell you, he gave me this incredible condo, and my parents lived in West Palm Beach, and I was in Delray Beach, and I thought, maybe this is workable, but I was kind of terrified of being so close to my parents. You know what I mean? I had a place.
Anthrax at work, parents nearby.
Anthrax, parents, Florida. I had a life in LA. I left my place to come out there. It was a lot of confusion, but I said, all right, let me ride it out. I don't know what this is going to turn out to be. It's part of what I always look at stuff like this and go, who knows? I always go, all right, maybe God wants me to do this now with Bat Boy. So I get onto this Bat Boy thing, and I go, what's with Bat Boy? So I put Bat Boy in the caves. Now, Bat Boy, just so you know, I don't know if people know who Bat Boy is. Bat Boy is a half bat, half human boy born in the caves outside of Morgantown, West Virginia, Hunley. The same place where Bruce Ivins.
Mothman.
Yeah. He's from a cave in West Virginia. And somehow this ties into Bruce Ivins breaking into West Virginia University and stealing the guidelines to their hazing of the sorority. Wow. I don't know. We'll get into it later. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So we've got this guy.
Are you sure he did it though? Maybe it's Bat Boy. There seems to be
there's Bat Boy looking out the window because Bruce Ivins is about to break into West. And Bat Boy is very lonely. There's a shot of Bat Boy. Maybe you see some shots of him fighting with the special forces, because what I wanted him to do, and we did.
Yeah, Bat Boy is a badass for sure.
Yeah, he was working. Here he is. Yeah, here he is. In Afghanistan. No, here he is in Iraq. And he's with the special forces. One of the guys is asking him if he's okay. But you got to see how he came down the helicopter, because he was really good at coming down, rappelling down a helicopter, down a rope in Iraq. But this is why Tim Pool won't take his hat off. It makes a lot of sense how Tim Pool is Bat Boy. Well, who knows? Well, Bat Boy's brother, Pool Boy. He might be Pool Boy, Bat Boy's brother. Anyway, so Bat Boy, I said, let him go after bin Laden in Tora Bora. So, because remember Ben Laden was hiding in the caves?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Okay. Well, who better to go get bin Laden than Bat Boy? So I thought, let's send him to Tora Bora. And that was my input. Now, a lot of people had written for Bat Boy. Bat Boy went back to 1992. and everyone wrote Bat Boy. It was just like one of the things. Like Ed Anger was a thing, Bat Boy was a thing. I started to do phony letters to the editor, like we had done at National Lampoon. They didn't really like that. I mean, I did what I could. Now, at that point, the circulation was enormous. It was like 1.2 million a week or something.
Oh, wow. Well, I do remember I saw the stupid paper in every grocery store I've ever been.
Yeah, the circulation was enormous. And I think it was like 50 cents. So you could just pick it up when you're checking out. That was the whole idea of those tabloids, of a weekly tabloid, whether it's Inquirer, the Star, the Weekly World News. I mean, they had huge circulations. And so did this one.
Just a good question. How did they do the Bat Boy graphics?
What do you mean by graphics?
Like, how did they draw them? I mean, I don't know. I mean, was it like a puppet that they took pictures of, or how did they get them?
They had photos of this creature that was in the back. I don't even want to talk about it because it was
trade secret.
No. It was in the back. You weren't allowed to really let it out. I don't even know to this day what the thing was. It was something. I mean, just put it that way. I don't really know what it was, but there was something in the back. There was a room, and the photographer went back, and yeah, here he is coming down the rope from the helicopter, Bat Boy, rappelling down there. He was really good at ropes and fighting with the Marines. I mean, the thing about Bat Boy was he was super patriotic. He really loved America, and there he is. Yeah, he loved fighting with the Marines and with Special Forces. That was kind of like his main thing, and also taking on aliens. There's a picture where somebody had a bar mitzvah, and they paid to have Bat Boy show up at the bar mitzvah, which I thought was interesting. I don't know if you have a photo of the bar mitzvah that Bat Boy
bar mitzvah.
Yeah, it was like a bat mitzvah.
Oh, the batty mitzvah.
Yeah.
Hang on, I do.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, there he is in the foreground. If you see him at the bottom,
yeah, right
up
here.
I don't know if they paid for it or he just showed up at this bar mitzvah.
Well, maybe it's like Bill. Bill Murray tends to like just show up in these random places and go party with people. So, did he learn that from Bat Boy? Perhaps
I don't know. It's a good question. That's a good question. They all have those Bat Boy shirts on. I think he brought that. He was probably trying to sell some merch like us. But
speaking of which, merch is on sale, folks. 20% off.
Okay.
Our merch is on sale. So thank you for reminding me, and I will definitely try to remember at the end too. 20% off.
That's kind of interesting. So anyway, so there's Bat Boy, and there are articles that you have to write and get them out quickly. So I remember everybody went to lunch one day, and I got a phone call at my desk. I picked it up as a woman, and she said, because we would buy photos from people who called in, unusual photos. She called in. She says, I have a photo, a very, very unusual photo of Jesus in the clouds. And we literally had a million of those, not to be rude, but we had a lot of photos of cloud formations that look like Jesus, let's say, or pizza that looked like Jesus, or a salami that looked like Jesus. That was like a typical thing for the paper. So she said, no, this one's different. And I said, well, how is it different? She said, it's Jesus and another guy in the clouds. So I said, who's the other guy? She said, Karl Marx. I said, send it right now. Let's go. We had a cloud photo of Jesus and Karl Marx, which we ran together, and we paid her $75 or something.
Oh, that's crazy. I don't think I have that one.
No, you don't, because I don't even have it.
Bummer. All right.
So anyway, so I did this white paper for Pecker, and I'm living down there, and the bioterror thing is still going on. People are still afraid nationally and also at the Weekly World News because they've been hit before. I don't know why he targeted that other than something to do with a sorority or a publication, because he wrote that it was Al-Qaeda. He didn't write that Bruce Ivins did it. He wrote that it was Al-Qaeda. It was trying to get us into the Iraq War, Eric, right? And eventually it worked, because like I was telling you before, the administration believed or wanted to believe that these letters were sent by Saddam Hussein. And nobody believed that except the administration, except Paul Wolfowitz and the Bush administration. They believed or wanted to believe, or used it as,
or at least used it. Yeah.
at least used it. But this guy, there was a guy, LA Times guy, did a book, and he said he interviewed them 10 years later, and they still believed that the letters came from Saddam as opposed to Bruce Ivins. Anyway, it's pretty odd. So the Weekly World News eventually started to run out of gas. I'm kind of glad that I didn't stay there, but I was there for months doing these issues. I don't really know what happened there, but at some point, it became a situation where it wasn't my type of humor. I was kind of like hemmed in, like I had to do this Bat Boy. There were certain things you had to do. Had anger. It was kind of limited creatively, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like you could only do certain things. Although Pecker wanted, like I did this one, right? Blimp to lower world's fattest man into the Super Bowl, engineer's assist, it could be done, right? And that was kind of fun, but I mean, how often could you make fat jokes? And show a few of the covers. Maybe we can get an idea of something that
let's go through and just scan through here.
Right. Okay. So we would do crazy predictions and stuff like ventriloquist in a coma, but his dummy still talking. Now, these stories are based on some little tiny bit of truth, right? They're not completely made up out of whole cloth. Like the Buffalo Man terrorizes Florida. He kind of looked like that guy who was in
the Capitol?
Yeah. He kind of looked like that. And he was taking dumps on people's lawns. So they were saying he was leaving these buffalo chips on their front lawns in Florida. And he kind of wore a buffalo head, So there is truth to these articles.
Miracle fabric, underarm hair. I mean, God.
There's one in there where a man gets his wife loves back hair. So he gets back hair transplanted onto his naked back, and she loves him even more. So we had to mock that up, the back hair on a man's back,
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, this was another one. This is Plod. This is the alien who had an ongoing affair with Hillary Clinton. No, I didn't start this, but you had these running things that you had to continue. And then the story up above, Bat Boy was in jail in Argentina.
Well, you had Buffalo Dude. Now you have Goat Man on the bottom.
The Goat Man, yeah. That was okay. There were certain themes like half man, half animal was a theme all the time. And the animals just varied. But this thing here with Hillary was an ongoing thing with this alien who was having an affair with her Plod. So, KKK skeletons. Oh, they did a lot of stuff like in biblical times, they would do stuff like, Moses shot with 38 revolver. Scientists find hole in skull of Moses. How 38 revolver got into biblical times, no one knows. So they would do these, Sodom and Gomorrah and Pillars of Salt. They find remnants of atomic bomb, or they even did whatever.
It's your fault.
Yeah. And they had the Satan superimposed on the ashes of 9/11. That was tasteless. That was a kind of a weird one, but they got away with it. I don't know.
Okay, inside actual size shoe of World's Tallest Man. Did it actually fit on the page, or was it a double spread?
I think it was a double spread. I think it was in a centerfold.
Good God. Okay. Here we go.
There's another one I did. Yeah.
That looks like Hillary's boyfriend again.
That's Plod. Yeah. And he's saying that he was going to land his UFO. This must have been in February. Yeah. Mardi Gras stunner. Alien wants to paint New Orleans red. And then the top part is the
your bust.
The huge
bust. The bust.
Right. So they like to do things where they're landing or doing stuff in the middle of an event, like combining like the Super Bowl with the world's fattest man, or UFOs with Mardi Gras for the theme issues at a certain time of the year. That was another special.
Oh yeah, it's a Mardi Gras episode. Oh yeah, makes sense. Sure. Good Lord. Let's see. Oh yes, the three-breasted intern. I did.
Now this was very popular. This was very popular. The three-breasted intern came back a couple of times and Hillary thought he was a leg man, that he didn't really like breasts. So she weighs in on this. They did a ton of Hillary and Bill with all kinds of things. I don't know if this opens up. Does this open up into a spread? Do you see maybe the inside of this?
I'd have to look around. I don't know.
Hold on. Wait a second. At the
Oh,
very
here she
bottom,
is.
re-breasted, and yeah, the very bottom, there should be, that's her 3 breasts, and then on the left of that should be the other spread. Yeah. Okay, so this young lady is a lot going for a 3-breasted, joins Clinton as new intern. Right. So, yeah, and there's Hillary. She's shocked about the thing. There was, dude, but look at him looking at those 3 breasts. Look how he's looking at them. That takes a certain amount of skill, to dummy that up. And this is, keep in mind, this is 2002 era.
Right. Early Photoshop.
Right. I don't know who the girl was. I don't know. Maybe it was somebody from down there, I think.
There we go. Oh, this is a multi-page spread.
That's what I'm saying. It was a huge story. Once they locked into that 3 breast, we abused the hell out of it.
Wait. Did she get her breast added?
Yes. She added a 3rd breast to hook Clinton. Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And then got the job as an intern.
Oh.
Well, this is the girl that Ivans was after.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm just
no, it's okay.
Scroll through.
All right. Let's see what else you got there. I'm curious if there's any other.
Okay. We're back up here to the horoscope.
Okay. Horoscope: jealous cow kills farmer's wife. That's, everybody knows that. Boy sues mom and dad with that was a pretty big spread. He got crummy gifts, and then there was a car made of cheese, which I think was real. I think a guy put cheese all over his car. I don't know why, but I think he did.
Wow.
So that was also, horoscopes were great. Horoscopes was a big deal. And also Edgar Casey coming back. Oh, here's one I did. Yeah. This
Mermaid Fountain. Yeah. Maybe it was Natasha Hendricks.
Yeah, I don't know if this was afterwards, but yeah, this was a guy. A lot of these were from North Korea. I don't know. This is an American guy, but a lot of these things happen in North Korea, and then they're brought over here. That was one of the storylines. They were into Kim Jong-il's father. They loved mocking him. And he was like a victim of a lot of mocking. But you could see, if you zoom in, you could see the legs out of the sandwich and the head coming out of the sandwich on the left. I asked for extra mayo, and I got this.
Oh, jeez. Oh, yeah. That's just horrible.
Horrible, yeah. They did a lot of mini mermaids. And
that actually looks like Norm Macdonald at that shot slightly.
I know. They did a lot of mini mermaids and mini mermen for some reason.
Oh, he ate the arm off.
You didn't notice that, did you? Yeah.
I'm sorry. There's just so much to take in at once. It takes me a minute, and then I was distracted by.
On the top is, you'll see Bat Boy training with elite forces. That's to get Bin Laden.
Oh, and the beer cans on the moon.
Yes. Okay. What we did there was just superimpose beer cans next to the lunar module, and there they are. There was amazing. Inside was amazing photos of the beer cans on the moon.
And then. Oh my God.
That's the guy, Simkus. He had a name. His name was something Simkus. And that's the guy we were lowering down into the Super Bowl dome in New Orleans in an earlier cover story I did.
You see, the sad thing is that you're showing this here, but now they have like My 1,000-Pound Life. It's like they actually have the. It's like, what was it? We got a super chat here. I kind of agree. You must have had a crystal ball when half of these headlines will be real in 2022.
I know. Well, they're supposed to, right? These are the times we live in. Absolutely, Telex. I mean, they were supposed to be close to real, you know what I mean, as you could, but still be crazy. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't say, make stuff up. It had to have some sort of roots to reality. Otherwise, it wouldn't work, you know?
Just crazy. So let's see. We've got his space landing at Mardi Gras.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Yeah, Plod. Yeah, wow. You see the guys in the lower left, they're looking up at lower right. They're looking up at his alien ship.
Yeah, it's like ID4.
Yeah, see that? They see it. Look at that. Yeah. Everyone will be watching for Plod's flying saucer. Judging from these two party goers, Plod should fit right in. Yeah.
What does Plod stand for? Is it an abbreviation of like
it's some sort of solar system, like PLOD. I don't even think it might have been Pilod, pronounced Pilod.
And Barry
And
Nichols.
this guy here, like anytime there was an expert for
Uh,
anything, like I was an expert, anyone who was there could be an expert any minute of the day. I was an expert on a lot of different things, so anyone could be that expert.
all right.
You had to have an expert too. That was also one of the rules. Or scientist. You had to have like a scientist or an expert.
Let's see over here. I love going through this art here. Oh,
Yeah. What is that?
It's like he has a blend. That's a float.
Right. Revolution, life of bees, Pilod plans to be among them. Okay.
All right.
I'll buy that.
Now, what are you going to do? When you've got to, land on a planet, do as they're going to.
Okay. Now, this guy, like the Chia Pet, put this on his head, added water, and grew hair, like the Chia Pet on late night TV.
Mm-hmm.
So there he is before and after. You'll see when he's kind of a bald guy, and then he just added water. And I guess today this was something Will Smith would punch somebody in the face over, because if you made a joke about male pattern baldness or woman pattern baldness, it doesn't fly. But back then it did in 2002.
Okay, somebody's noticed. I was hoping to be distracted. I don't have pink eye. I have horrible allergies right now. So,
all right.
Good eyes though, there, Jessica.
Wow, I didn't see that, Jessica.
I'm seeing you. I'm depending on the light going off my glasses to not share that. But
okay.
Anyway, yeah, my allergies are really a mess. That's why I didn't do shows last week.
Let's see what else. Oh, Bat Boy behind bars in Argentina. Yeah, that was a sad period for Bat Boy. You could see that they put the sombrero on him anytime he went south of the border.
There's a little rage. I mean, he normally looks
Bat
happier.
Boy is not happy about this.
Yeah, he's angry.
Yeah.
And then now, you know what? It looks like he was going to take matters in his own hands. He wants to clean it up.
Yeah, there was some corruption in Argentina at the time. Look, Bat Boy's new mission, clean up Argentina. Yeah, I think he ran for office down there at one point. I think he was running for president.
Had an ace reporter who was on the case, Dallas Smith.
Yeah. Who got the byline for this story?
Miguel Figueroa.
Right, it was a Spanish guy, Weekly World News. Right, I think that was fictitious. Yeah.
Oh, and Donna Santos also is on the case. You guys are definitely throwing out your elite.
We brought out everybody for this one. We had the international staff from Argentina cover this story down there. Yeah, that would be, again, someone who was probably a secretary. These poor people who work there had to do this all day long.
Okay,
that's the bar mitzvah, right? We did that one.
And then we're back to
Intern.
I think we got it.
Hold on.
Got the blimp.
Go to the one on the bottom right. All the way in the yeah, that's a two-parter. It's a spread. This is Simkus. Now, that's Simkus, who's going to be lowered down.
Oh, there you are.
Zoom in on the expert. Zoom in on his agent. If you can zoom that in, you'll see.
Yeah, Sydney Topkill. How you doing, Sydney?
Right, I'm on the phone with Fox at this point, trying to get them to approve this thing. I mean, you can't make this up, Eric. It says Topkill, told reporters that his client's disappearance, you see the very bottom there, was part of a carefully orchestrated scheme to add drama to the sometimes lackluster televised event. Premium ad space will go for over $3 million on his custom.
Oh God! So he's like a race car. You're just gonna. Yeah. He has so much girth that you can cover.
NFL Insiders confirmed. So anyway, I had to write this whole story, and they were going to put ads all over his body. But this guy was also a repeat character in their storylines. Simkus, I forget his first name.
Buster
Simkus. Yeah, that was the guy, right?
Her perfect name, Buster.
Buster Simkus.
Like Scale Buster.
So there was a lot of people who believed everything. It was kind of like the equivalent would be wrestling. World wrestling. Is it real? Is it not real? That was the tonality of the publication, like wrestling. The people who love wrestling love the Weekly World News, and vice versa. That was whatever that audience was. So I wasn't surprised when Trump, years later, came into Pecker's orbit. because what happened was, I don't know whose snort is more. You know, Steph, you have to have a snort because it's just you can't control it. So Trump came into Pecker's orbit because, if you recall, Pecker was accused of pay-to-kill stories about girls that Trump was with. And there's Pecker on the right next to Eric.
Not a tall man.
Not a tall man, but a very arrogant, very, very opinionated man. Very difficult for me to deal with him. Just one of those crazy magazine owners or publication owners. And I could see why, they might butt heads, and which they later did, because Pecker was subpoenaed and got immunity regarding whether he paid to kill stories about women that Trump had been with. Right?
Yeah, well, Stormy Daniel.
Wasn't there was a
no, it wasn't her, but several women that
right.
to pay to kill stuff.
Here's Pecker obviously standing on a soapbox to stand up to the same height as Trump, who's 6'4". I don't know how they did this, but he's obviously standing on a chair. But yeah, so anyway,
it's a little blurry, but here's an earlier shot of them.
Dude, he's like taller than now. He's taller than Trump. I don't know how this is happening.
Well, it's like the Weekly World News. He's a person. He has height, and just enhanced it a little bit.
I remember with my face being crushed almost in Trump's face at a party in the week of Saturday Night Live. And I turned around and my face was like right here. And there was his face. And I looked up at his hair and he said, and it's real. Do you want to touch it? And I went, what? I said, no, I'm good. And he said, okay. That was my meeting with Donald Trump. And a packed Saturday Night Live party after a show. Anyway, so Pecker ends up being subpoenaed, getting immunity, and one of these Adam Schiff things that he says, remember they were accusing him of pay to kill the stories. And I don't know why that's illegal, but they were saying he was doing it on Trump's behalf.
I don't think it is illegal.
Right. I don't know. I mean, you could buy stories. It doesn't mean you have to publish them. I don't know. I mean, the intelligence services have been buying life stories of people for decades. And then not publishing them. It's part of their
or movies. You buy movie rights, right? Somebody writes a book, you buy them.
No, but I'm saying it's part. It's a political weapon, is what I mean. It's been used for years. There was Marina Oswald's life rights were purchased by a fictitious Italian company that disappeared after her life rights were published, and the book was assigned to one of their spook writers who had met Oswald in Moscow, ironically. And it took her 10 years to come out with the book.
RFK's potential killer, weren't his rights handled by an author too? Or Eugene, the guy, you tried to get the interview in there like $20,000 to talk to the dude.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
So that was kind of like that.
Right, exactly the same. Yeah, they get these blockers or handlers and also authors to come up with they're assigned the book itself so they can control it, but they like to sometimes just sit on the rights forever and not give out the movie rights because they can't control it. They can't control it. In other words, everybody tried to buy Marina Oswald's book, life rights, movie rights, and apparently not available. And that's part of, what they accused is again, confession through projection. They were accusing Pecker of doing what they did, is where I was going with this. And Pecker said, I don't know what you're talking about. I do pay for stories, but Will Smith to get in the Men in Black movies. I think it was a different name of the publication. It was not Weekly World News, just so you know. It was a mock-up with a different title. And
thank you, Ziggy.
Thank you, Ziggy. Probably because they couldn't come up with a price. So they just mocked up the logo with a different name. I forget what it's called in the movie, but ironically, Will Smith involved in that.
We can't seem to escape him. It's like we got Men in Black, we got the paper. It's like, well, we'll just keep circling back. By the way, somebody asked early on in the chat.
By the way, Tommy Lee Jones was Al Gore's roommate at Yale, just to make it even crazier.
There's a lot.
Yeah, just an odd little trivial tidbit there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Okay, somebody asked, no, we do absolutely believe the slap was real. 100%. It really happened, folks.
Oh, yeah.
It really did.
Yeah, it's going to have real ramifications of real people. Like I said, I think this Will Parker, the producer of the Oscars, won't be back. And I think, I don't know what's going to happen to Will Smith, but like I said to Eric, I mean, these are two SAG members. This is really a union squabble. This should not have anything to do with AMPIS.
Workplace violence.
It's workplace violence with two members of the union. This could have happened on a film set, and it's something that SAG, the Screen Actors Guild, as they're both members, would have to resolve based on their violence and safety ordinances that they have as a union. It's really the adjudicating branch should be this. This is just outside the.
It actually may fall under federal labor guidelines, so SAG has to act in a
right. I think they might have to act because this is a workplace violence incident. This is not like they were at a barbecue at their own house, right? These are two union SAG guild paying members. One of them's a victim, the other one's violent, and it could have happened on a film set. That's the equivalent of where it happened. And if it was two lesser actors, they would, one would be the victim, the other one would be thrown out of the union.
It actually kind of was a film set. It was televised.
No, it is a film set. I'm saying it technically is a film set. Yeah, it is a film set. Everyone in there is a union member. Everyone in that audience is a SAG member. I mean, they're
all working. They're all at work.
Absolutely. And the AMPAS thing, which is the host, and not everyone's a member of the Academy, Eric. Thank you, Anthony. Not everyone's a member of the Academy. You've got to be invited in. It's a whole long process. You've got to have a lot of credits, blah, blah, blah. So I don't understand why, unless they just want to take back the Oscar and punish him, that's up to them. But the real punitive, the real judicial institution is the Screen Actors Guild. That's
they can suspend him for a year and he can't do any movies, or a couple of years.
Exactly. And the studios are immediately sending up smoke signals that they have so much stuff coming up with him, Bad Boys 5 and all kinds of movies that they're sending out signals saying, please don't do this to us. The studios themselves.
Right, especially after he just won an Oscar. It's like, but the Oscar winner, well, not only that, this controversy itself is going to put butts in a seat, ironically, because Chris Rock, his shows are sold out. They said he sold more tickets in one day than he had for like the previous 2 months.
Well, he refused to talk about it Friday night up in Boston, and
good for him.
No, it's fine. He had an entire act already rehearsed. I mean, I don't blame him at all. But this Will Parker guy, the producer, threw Chris Rock under the bus on Good Morning America today, saying that he told jokes that weren't part of the show, that he made this up on the spot, and that he said that Will Smith could stay, that he said that the police shouldn't be involved. He assigned all kinds of blame to Chris Rock this morning.
Which is a complete lie. And Whoopi already had stated that it wasn't true like a couple days ago. She said, no, we decided that it was too close to the award and it would look really bad taking the black man out. And I mean, and it was Whoopi Goldberg saying that on her own show. So there's so much BS.
Well, I don't think this Will Parker will be back.
Probably not.
Like I said to you, there was the worst
Somebody
part
of this
is it's fine, big tech. The guy who ran the Oscars for years wonderfully, without people punching themselves in the face, was Gil Cates, Phoebe Cates' dad. And he was very good at it, and he had to be replaced because he was white. And they brought in this black dude who has made a couple low-budget genre black pictures as a producer, movies.
Well, Mark, Oscar's so white.
Yeah. So this guy obviously was in over his head, is all I'm saying. He let this thing get out of control. And the fact that you could just go, I mean, they're probably going to have guards and plexiglass the next time, or little fences, or put it up on a stage.
They're going, God, go back to the Zoom presentation again.
No, but I remember in the old day, Eric, last year, they put it in a train station down to Union Station. They put it in there last year. But I mean, in the old days, there was a stage. Like you couldn't just go up. You know what I mean? But they want it to be, somebody said this was a postmodern thing where they're trying to break down the fourth wall or the proscenium between the performer and the audience.
Right. They wanted to look like a private party that we are all
right. But there's somebody's saying this is also some postmodern bullshit, that this is where they're trying to dissemble in some Marxist way the fourth wall between audience and performers. I don't know.
I think that could be, but I also would argue I think they're being influenced by what we're doing here with YouTube.
Yeah,
Because everybody young is ignoring Hollywood,
right,
and they're watching YouTube,
right.
or things like that, or TikTok or whatever, which is very much, there's no fourth wall. I'm talking to the chat. That's
Well,
direct
do you know why there's a
communication.
raised stage? There's two reasons. One, so people can see you from the back,
Sure.
and two, so they can't get at you from the front.
Yes.
And I think that
And
raised
that's
stage,
an orchestra pits, and even though
right,
hit
right.
the
Like a
band
moat,
first.
they're going to put a moat with tigers next and crocodiles next year and say, "Good luck," and then you can make all the jokes you want. But as a lot of these comics are pointing out, they're terrified now that they're going to be attacked on stage in a comedy club. Which in a comedy club, she did seem upset, but I think she was upset about the loss of weight that she had to go through to get to the Oscars. But the reality of it is, comedy clubs don't have that type of setup. It may be a riser or a little bit of a stage, and every comic I know has been attacked on stage at some point in their career.
Was it the Blues Brothers where they had the chicken wire up? We
Yeah,
can do it old school.
Yeah, that's true too. You could put up the chicken wire, but most comedy clubs, the guy's sitting right there, and the security does not want to tangle with some drunk biker in the first table, with a bunch of Hell's Angels. So I mean, it really involves your ability to fend off verbally hecklers, and sometimes you can't. Sometimes you can't.
Well,
Jimmy Dore talked
about
it. Jimmy Dore talked about the other day being attacked by a biker on stage. You can't see. You've got bright lights in your eyes. You can't see the audience. They're drunk. They think you're looking at them, heckling back. And, somebody comes up and you're defenseless, Eric.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what he was defenseless up there.
Chris, he was. And also, if you look at the shots too, I mean, good God, look at the height. I mean, Will Smith is towering over this guy.
Well, he said, "I just punched by Muhammad Ali." That was Chris Buck's line. And then to have the presence of mind to still give out the stupid documentary of the year award. Dear God, I mean, what a professional. I'm so proud of him as a Brooklyn native, that he was able to be a professional. While this douchebag was, who knows? He might have been high as a kite for all I know. I don't really know. Maybe he was high. Jacked up on the stuff, Eric, like on coke or something. I don't really know. But I mean, wow. And now apparently everybody's pointing fingers at everybody else.
Yeah, well, I guess we covered the Weekly World News because we've segued long enough.
Yeah, how did we get into this? What happened to the Weekly World News?
Somebody said something about Will Smith and it to tie into the Will Smith, and then that was into a chat. And so, are we done with the Weekly World News, or?
Well, I mean, like I was saying, we're going to do a separate episode on Bruce Ivins. So
soonish.
So I don't want to give out too much on David Pecker, who eventually, like I said, got into this squabble with Jeb Bush and moved AMI to New York, and I think printed in Jersey or Pennsylvania.
That might be where he ran into Trump a bit more.
Yes, I think a year later he moved everything to. And these employees, they didn't go with him. The people from Florida, they stayed there. I don't know who he got, but I got out. I wasn't going to go with this. I didn't really want to keep doing this because I was working in screenwriting and doing other stuff. And I was also writing for the LA Weekly and other publications out here. City
Crooks
Beats
and Liars too, right?
And Crooks and Liars was starting up. Yeah. So I had a lot of stuff to do here. And although the money was insane, I got to tell you, I don't know how this guy justified anything, but I was just going, holy cow, this is, the salary was enormous.
Those are the heyday. I think everything started to tumble after that.
Yeah, I think, a couple of years later, the bottom fell out. But I mean, I was getting used to living in that condo with a driver.
I could get used to that for a while.
Right. My mother was happy. I was close to West Palm Beach. I mean, I just said, maybe I'm too close to them. I got to get out of here. This was creeping me out.
Her son, he made it.
He made it to West Palm Beach. I mean, Florida does have, an odor of elderly at that time, as a place to die. And the people who worked at the magazine, I think that's where they ended up because they were from there. You know what I mean?
That's a good point.
I don't know what happened to Jeb.
Trump and Pecker were good friends, and I'm sure that Pecker did not mind it at all when Trump came up with low energy Jeb.
No, he hated Jeb's guts. He really
I know.
did.
So that probably was nice for their friendship too. I'm sure he had that like a
Well, let me back
pre-recorded.
up because it really starts with Trump accusing Ted Cruz's father of assassinating JFK, and then the Inquirer ran the photos of Ted Cruz's dad with Lee Harvey Oswald passing out leaflets in New Orleans. Eric, if you want to
Which did happen. Yeah, I
which
know.
did happen. If you want to get specific, obviously he didn't. He was doing it himself as an intelligence operative. His father, Ted Cruz's father, worked for the intelligence services.
Yeah, he was a Cuban, not dissident, but
a defector.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yes, actually, Alec Baldwin did weigh in on the slap.
He did?
Yes. He talked about how he apologized to his good dear friend Chris Rock, and he was so sorry it turned into Jerry Springer, I think.
Oh, interesting.
But you know what? Let me find it. Because
wait,
Alec Baldwin
isn't his wife? Didn't they purchase another child again?
They are expecting another child. Not sure
from UPS. From UPS?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it comes with prosthesis. I have no idea.
But she's going to get that plastic stomach again. Oh, she probably keeps it. She probably keeps it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait, are there different sizes of that plastic stomach, Eric?
Like 3 months? Well, don't you need to? Yeah, you kind of have to.
So you have to have multiple.
Well, you know what? You could save money though if you could find an adjustable version, like you slide in shims of some sort.
Right.
Over time it shims out. Anyway, he did comment on it. Maybe it was on Twitter, but it was essentially. Oh, here we go. Boom. Here's from Alec. I'm not reading much about how or even if the producers attended to Chris, but I love you, Chris Rock, and I'm sorry the Oscars. Now, in fairness, that was actually a good sentiment. It's just too bad it was an asshole who sent it, But right. I agree with the statement.
Right. The producers did not attend to Chris. They attended to Will Smith, the attacker.
Yep.
And they formed a circle around him, and because they knew that in 5 minutes he was going to get the biggest award of the night.
Yep.
Wow.
So anyway,
what a debacle.
It is ironic that yes, Alec Baldwin did weigh in on that. So good question.
Good question. Well, he's over in Italy. Getting gelato. He's like Baldwin. Isn't he like Bat Boy? Like he's going around the world.
Maybe that'll be an episode. We'll have Bat Boy and Baldwin, or Bat
Boy and Baldwin together.
Well, they were Baldwinitos, right? The children are Baldwinitos or Baldwinitas, depending on the sex, I guess. Mm-hmm. So Bat Boy, Baldwinito.
Yeah, sometimes Bat Boy would have a machine gun or a handgun, a military weapon, and be trained how to use it, and go.
Well, Alec's father trained students how to use a rifle, so Alec may have helped train Bat Boy.
Right on. I could buy that.
Got to keep it going.
Yeah, so there was very little or any celebrity news because of the Inquirer in the Weekly World News. I think that's why the piece about Natasha Henstridge was killed, because they didn't do just to get back to that mock-up.
Sure.
That was something when I first got there I didn't understand, and I had to go into the lawyer hut with the lawyers and have them shred me. There was one I swear to God that I completely made up, and they still wouldn't run it. I forget what it was. It was just completely made up, and they'd go, we don't feel comfortable about this. And I'm going, what are you, insane? What is the story here? I made this up. But the one with Henstridge, it wasn't so much about legality with her. You could show that all day. I don't care.
No, I'm just saying I'm fine looking at her.
Yeah. I don't even know what we put around her there. I don't even know what that was. But
it looks like it's coax. It's from electric. When you run cable through a house. That's
right. This might be an interesting story. She did a film called Three Rivers with Bruce Willis because Bruce Willis is in the news. And part of the deal was with a lot of these A-list stars is the agents agree that they have to have sex together. So she told me that she had to have sex with Bruce Willis. And look, I can't make this up. She told me this. And she had to go to a hotel, and she got the part in this cop drama with Bruce Willis. And I don't know if she was the first choice or the others turned down Bruce Willis, but she said that's what you have to do.
Was
That
she
was
with Quincy Jones, or is that somebody else?
no. It's Natasha. It's Quincy. What's his name? Not Henstridge. Natasha.
Okay, sorry.
The other one. Yeah, the Eastern European one.
Kinski.
Kinski. Natasha Kinski.
Okay.
But this Natasha had sex with Bruce Willis, which apparently for a part. Yeah, and she didn't bat an eye over it. She just said, "Yeah, I don't care. You know, that's what you got to do. You got to do." You know, she wasn't opposed to Bruce Willis, and you know, that's again, this is the way the system's been run for 150 years until people went berserk the past couple of years. But I mean, I don't know where it's going now. If that Oscars doesn't kill Hollywood, I don't know what will. It might be like a vampire that won't die.
Well, I don't know. China's going to keep it going, so whatever.
Right.
It'll just be. Maybe you know what? They'll just move the Oscars to China, like they're moving all the plot lines.
Well, I see the future of films as all Chinese with a burnt out ex-American star in each film. Like
Alec has to travel to China.
Matt Damon was in the Great Wall movie. They'll throw in the one star in a Chinese film, and it's the reverse of what we used to have after World War II. We would make films and we'd throw in some guy from Italy, or you know what I mean? Some star from Europe would have an American part. And that would appeal to that market. So they're doing the opposite now. They're doing what we used to do in the post-World War II market. You know, and the Nazis were opposed to having different Jewish people in the films that didn't play well in Berlin. And the Chinese are doing the same thing now, saying they don't want Richard Gere is done. And now I understand that what's his name's done. Who is in the...
Brad Pitt.
Not Brad Pitt. You know, who's
somebody just said Taiwan as a country. I think that finished them. I forgot who it is recently.
No, it was what's his name? John Wick.
Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, who,
and I think it was because he said Taiwan. I think it was something about saying
no,
Taiwan.
It was something about the Dalai Lama.
It could be
it was a Dalai Lama thing, and now Keanu Reeves is finished. And I mean finished. When they boycott you in China, your career is over here. You're done. You're done. He's done now, because they're not going to make a film eliminating before it even starts the Chinese market. So he is finished. Richard Gere has long been finished.
And Senna had that horribly embarrassing
groveling apology, which I doubt Keanu Reeves is going to do.
No, I don't think he cares.
Look for Keanu Reeves is not going to be in any big budget films any longer, because they're not going to eliminate the Chinese market. He's going to be like Richard Gere playing little indies now, which is sad.
Probably fine. He's probably fine with
No, he probably doesn't care, but after a while you do care, because Richard Gere cares now. At first he was brazen about it, but he didn't seem to care. But now when you can't work, there's only so many indies you can do, Eric, for a low budget film. He did a couple where he was a homeless guy in New York. I mean, he's a great actor. I mean, both those guys are great actors. You know, Gere and Keanu Reeves. They're both great. Sure. I don't know about this guy. What is this guy? Was a wrestler or something?
Yeah. John Cena is not known.
He
needed to grovel.
He needed to grovel.
But still sad. Speaking of groveling, how about the subscription issue?
Which one?
When people aren't hitting the button.
Oh, they are?
They're not.
Oh, they're not?
We need more people to hit the button.
Oh, well, they'll figure it out. They got all weekend to do it, right?
I think so. Look, I don't know. We got people busting us for talking about it. I love it.
Oh, right. Like, what are we? We're damned if we do. We're damned if we don't. If we talk about it, we're desperate. If we don't talk about it, nobody subscribe. I don't know. What are you supposed to do? This is my first time doing this. I don't know what you're supposed to do.
I don't know. We try to have fun with it. Oh, well.
Right. PayPal, I understand, because I wake up in my underwear and somebody PayPals me, and then I put it into the Mothman account, the Mothman fund. PayPal, I get.
Then you get a text message and you go, ooh.
Yeah, I just go, ooh, $6. This is great. I could buy a new book. And you know, that I love that. I love PayPal. But this subscription thing, I have to believe that YouTube controls that. I really do, because it just seems it's impossibly bizarre to be stuck where we are subscription wise and have I looked the other day, we have nearly 1 million views, Eric.
Yeah, we're going to be crossing 1 million here soon.
Right? I mean, who's got 1 million views? I mean, we have how many videos? 50, 45?
Something like that. I lost count.
I lost count, but I can't keep doing this forever, folks. So you're gonna have to subscribe. I can't keep it up. I mean, I'm running out of jackets. I mean, I got to get some more ties, shirts. I look, my wardrobe's getting thin. I mean, it's so funny.
I
I remember
I can only afford 2 collars ever.
one of my greatest times was I did a bunch of episodes of the 70s show because the dad on the 70s show was a close friend, and they have the 70s show, just so you know, over at Fox, had the greatest wardrobe department in the world, and it was all 70s clothing. So anytime I went there, I tried to steal everything I could, and they'd let you take some things, you know what I mean? But they were adamant about other things that were really expensive. But holy cow, what a great time to go into that wardrobe at the 70s show, and get made up. I did one episode in a hot tub with Brooke Shields. I don't know what happened to that, but she was a guest star on one episode. So
wow.
Great wardrobe department. I should have stolen more stuff.
All right. And of course, folks, you can support us on Locals. You can
and what
follow
about
us for
the
free.
Rumble? Aren't we on Rumble?
We are on Rumble. This will sync over. It's not running live on
Right.
Rumble. Eventually, I'll get them simultaneously.
Okay. Will we? This is an idea because all of this stuff with Bat Boy is in Morgantown, West Virginia, and so is the Mothman. Could we do a Mothman versus Bat Boy episode?
Maybe.
Right.
We'd have to
because you have Bat Boy. I mean, dude.
Thank you for chump change.
Thank you. Bat Boy is from West Virginia, and so is the Mothman. Does anybody find this weird?
Oh, well, I don't know. It maybe says things about West Virginia, but I don't want to pick on the state.
Right.
And of course, the magazine's headquartered in Florida, and then there's things about Florida and Germany. I think Corolla has a long running thing about that.
Right. But what I'm saying is we could possibly do an episode of Bat Boy versus Mothman. Like Godzilla versus Rodan.
That might be a Locals exclusive.
I know. No, okay. Well, I'm just putting it out there. The fact that Bat Boy comes from the caves in West Virginia and the Mothman is in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and also the Bruce Ivans stole the ritual guide from West Virginia University. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff here all of a sudden. I never thought of West Virginia in my life, and all of a sudden it's in every single episode.
There you go.
I mean, if there's any subscribers in West Virginia, please let us know. Maybe you can host Eric and I.
Oh, here we go.
100,000 channels have more than 1 million. You need to do more makeup tutorials. What does that mean? Involve more cat. Oh, I see what you're saying. Right, cats. Right. Seeing more children.
Well, I brought my cat out. Sometimes they show up, and I hold them up. I'm like, well, what do you want?
Ian's right. Yeah, there's 100,000 channels, more than 1 million. Dude, that's insane. Maybe maybe the content is too controversial. Every week we start out with a cat and then quickly throw the cat away and get into the controversial topics. It would deceive the algorithm at YouTube. And they go, look, Bob, it's another cat video by those guys. And then they turn us off, and then we get into the Kennedy assassination.
That would be good. I mean, considering we go yellow every freaking episode.
Do we go yellow for this?
Let me check right now. Survey says, of course. Yep. I mean, there you go, folks. We're officially controversial.
Let me tell you something. When you talk about Bat Boy, you might as well be talking about JFK's getting his head blown off in Dallas, because there is no difference to YouTube whether you're talking about Bat Boy, Fat Boy, Jap Boy, China Boy, or anything.
Thank you, Two Little Sticks.
Thank you, Two Little Sticks. Rub them together.
Apparently,
there's no difference to the algorithm. Bat Boy is what did we talk about? Oh, we mentioned Trump, I guess. Who knows? Maybe that's a trigger. Or the election.
Or maybe they're mixing up the use of the word pecker.
You know what? That could be a two-way word. That could be a double meaning word, like George Carlin used to say. The words that have two meanings, right?
You got to watch out for those.
Right. The alarms are going off at YouTube
so,
headquarters.
Before we go, next Tuesday.
What? Oh yeah. What are we doing? Oh, right.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Martin Luther King assassination.
Yep.
Oh yeah. We'll get kicked off the air for that one. But
folks will be here with us as we are.
Yes, this will be a good one because it's April 4th is the anniversary of the King assassination. We're going to get into a little bit about James Earl Ray, how he escaped. I want to focus more on James Earl Ray, obviously, than Martin Luther King, which has been covered to death by PBS and Eyes on the Prize and I Had a Dream and everything else. I don't care about that anymore. Sure. But I do care about James Earl Ray and Eric S. Galt and some of the
and the Barclays marathons, how it spawned off of escape route, all kinds of just craziness apparently with him.
I'll just give you a little teaser on this. He gets to Toronto and goes to the library, starts looking at microfilm, looking for people that are born the same time he's born. And he finds a guy there, a couple of guys, and he finds the guy's name. He's the same age as him. He calls him up on the phone, says he's from the Canadian Passport Service, and does he have a passport? And the guy says, no, I don't. And which is what he wanted to know, because then he made a phony passport with the guy's birth certificate to get out of Toronto. And that's just one of the stories we're going to cover with the lone nut assassin, James Earl Ray, who clearly had money, access to multiple passports, and was heading to Rhodesia to join the army in Rhodesia. If you could believe that, it's absolutely true. And we're going to follow James Earl Ray. No, it's not semi-permanent hold, Dove.
But you know what?
I can only get to them. Look, I can only get to them fast enough. I look. What am I supposed to do here? I mean, I'm one man. Hundley doesn't help. He's got pink eye. He can't help. He's stuck on a bridge somewhere. Hundley.
I know. Well, Hundley's got to freaking get off because his eye's killing him. So
he's going blind from watching this show. But yeah, Martin Luther King. Assassination, and then somehow Abby's going to work his way in there, and then
we'll get Abby soonish. Bruce Ivans.
We got to do the Ivans thing, and then we've got MTV.
We still have Sock versus Saban. You want to talk about a show that's been kicking around for a while?
Well, Saban went to the University of Cincinnati, and he was crazy, and Bruce Ivans went to the University of Cincinnati.
There we go. So
in the same laboratory as Albert Sabin, in a weird twist. Saban was almost as crazy as Bruce Ivans, two nutty scientists, the nutty professors.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
Well, then, until next Tuesday, see ya.